Hello and welcome, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's evening in Greece. Wherever you're joining and what time you are watching or hearing this recording, I would like to welcome you to the space to explore a little bit how to enrich relationships with our dear ones. It can be our partners, our family members, our children, or maybe colleagues or friends or peers. And it is a very important topic. It's almost a correlation between the quality of our life, the quality of our relationship that determine how we live our life. So for me, it's one of the most difficult, but one of the most profound and nourishing discoveries once we enrich relationship and we look at from a systemic psychologist standpoint, the human enrichment or systemic enrichment. So I would like to share a few nuggets, a few thoughts, and inspire you to bring some insights about you, your family, and your relationships. And maybe by the end of this conversation or monologue, you might learn something and you might want to implement it in your life. As you listen to my voice, some of the things that I'm going to read from my recent book called Enrich, a practical guide to systemic enrichment for love, abundance, fulfillment, and happiness. And if you have this book, I encourage you to open it and read with me. I will start with a chapter on using the power of imagination. It's part 4, page 192. And the reason why I would like to start with this is that a lot of the time in relationships, we take things for granted, the common sense kind of things, but common sense is not always common practice. So what we think should happen in relationships, not necessarily happening. And a lot of the time, actually majority of us split up and marriages and still searching for the right partnership or still trying to find that balance, that sweet spot, and how to feel happy and also fulfilled and have that love and not just be in a partnership because it's economically beneficial, or being in a partnership because that's what we know or we do for children, or be in a partnership because it's better than not, kind of thing. But how do we thrive in our relationships? How do we make sure that the relationships are bringing us joy and bringing to us that those gems and the feeling of fulfillment? Because it is a co-creation. We can be in solo life journey, let's say, but we can only go so far in a solo journey. We are social beings. We are designed to be in partnerships, and we have all the resources and internal systems that can help us. So let's tap into those prime relationship. And the first one I would like to read, and this is one of the tools we can definitely use for free. It's the power of imagination. So imagination is more important than willpower. It creates the desired outcome effortlessly and consistently. That's why we need to be careful what we imagine, as it is likely to happen. As they say, you are what you think. If you want more love, look into the following dynamics. Movement towards mother. That's a very important dynamic. Our relationship with our mother. It doesn't matter if she's alive or not. It doesn't matter. It's all in our brain, in our mind, the power of imagination. Our connection to our mother is pivotal in becoming more loving and receiving more love. Think about this for a second. She gave us love. She gave us life. She was the one carrying us inside her body for 9 months. According to the systemic enrichment, She holds the keys to the flow of love that reached us from the previous generation. It is important to honor this connection, even for adopted children or those who have a tough relationship with their mother, or even if their mother has died. To imagine embracing a biological mother is an important step towards the reconciliation, the flow of life. The good news is that we can significantly improve our behavior, habits, and beliefs if we change the way we think. Here's a case study. Love me the way I am. Cassandra and Ron. Cassandra is in her late 30s. She grew up in a religious family in South America and went to a Catholic boarding school. When she went to in the UK to study, she fell in love with a young Englishman, Ron. Both of their beautiful daughters have a reserved style of behavior similar to their parents. I would like to have received more self-confidence from my mother so I could give more self-confidence to my daughters, says Cassandra. During a systemic enrichment exercise, she places the people who represent her mother and herself in front of each other, and the person who represents confidence behind her mother at a certain distance. The representative doesn't feel the connection with the daughters. Only after some time, the realignment happens on a deeper level. The representative for Cassandra feels emotional and sentimental. Connecting to self-esteem made a bigger effect on Cassandra than she had expected. Her relationship to her daughter slightly shifted after this exercise, and daughter started behavior in a more confident way. And here's an exercise for you. Improve the flow of love towards mother. Imagine your mother facing you and looking into your eyes. Keep this contact for some time and dedicate these words to her. Thank you for giving birth to me and looking after me as best you could in your circumstances. I will take the gifts I have received and will make the best out of them in my life. Look gently on me and bless me with your love. Give yourself 5 minutes for the words to sink in, together with the feelings that arise. It's one of the deepest exercises actually I do. I'm a psychologist and I work with couples and people who suffered from trauma and who are looking for enriching their relationships. And a lot of the times, the relationship with their mother is one that needs looking into. And when they do this kind of exercises, just closing their eyes and imagining their mother in front of them and looking into her eyes, even imagining that and shifting the emotions and feelings and thoughts just a tiny bit towards positive, more positive ones, can make a lot of difference in the current relationship with, if it's, for example, a male who is my client, with their spouse or with their partners who represent that female line. If it's a woman representing or working with the flow of abundance, we call it flow of love, feeling more confident, feeling their self-esteem is higher, restoring that flow of love with their mother. It's very important. Okay, second one, movement towards father. If you wish for more discipline and independence, or if you would like to feel more feminine, it's important to rebalance your relationship with your father. That is true even if he has passed away. The memory and projection of your father still holds power over your behavior. Fathers love their children the way they can. Many fathers think of love as encouragement towards success and autonomy, giving praise for deeds and actions. This is a good strategy for raising sons, but not so good when it comes to daughters. Daughters would often prefer to be loved for who they are rather than for what they do or how well they succeed. Exercise. Improve the flow of love towards father. Okay, and before that, I just want to make a remark here. It's very important to distinguish, and I've lived that also. We all female or women who had fathers know that many fathers, if not all of them, they praised us for doing things either well or not so well, and that means reprimanding or blaming, criticizing, encouraging us or trying to encourage us to behave better. And the way how daughters or little girls make sense of these words often go inside to the sort of the internal system, internalizing these words as realities, meaning that we as little girls would think that our self-worth is connected not to who we are, but to what we do. And we're not what we do. We are who we are as humans with our characters and behavior and thoughts and feelings. And we're holistic beings. And we're not rudimental only to the behaviors and successes or failures. We are so much more. So restoring that flow of love with our fathers who did the best they could, but may not necessarily know how to raise girls as daughters, okay? We need to do some work, and our daughters may need to do some work and to restore the relationship with their fathers, our partners. So this exercise you can share with them by forwarding this video. And as you listen to it, try to do it in your head, because it's a power of imagination that makes a difference. Imagine your father facing you. Look into his eyes and say to him, "Thank you for being my father and giving me what you could. I will make good use of that in my life. I will take your love and plant it in my soul, bearing fruits of wisdom and human experience." Bow to your dad and say, "You are my dad, and I am your child. You are big, and I am small. Look kindly on me as I live my life." Take in these words and stay with them for a while, allowing their effect to unfold. It's a little but powerful piece of work that we often do in retreats and workshops with families, couples, and individuals who want to do something to restore that flow of love in their family, so they can feel a bit more freedom to make choices the way how they want to make choices, with awareness and with consciousness, rather than leave the patterns and things that happen through generations. So keeping that in mind and imagining your father and taking the best from this relationship and thanking, paying tribute to him as well. I work with orphanages and with orphans who don't have any conscious memory of their biological parents. And even in those cases, it also works when we can imagine our biological father and biological mother, even if they left or abandoned us or died, or even when we had traumatic relationship with them, still there's part of us that's longing to be loved, to be reconnected, and to reestablish and pattern that systemic connection. So that's very, very important, to allow that flow of acceptance and forgiveness to whatever that person did with the best intentions they had. And unfortunately, their best intentions is not the best for us. So we take whatever we can to transform it and make the best use of it in our life. Okay, now let's move into the following exercise, and it's called movement towards our siblings or sibling, if you have one. If you want to restore relationships with your friends and peers at work, it is important to rebalance the relationship with your siblings. Unconsciously, we tend to project the emotions linked to our family of origin on other people and replay the same story in various dimensions of our life. Exercise. Improve the flow of love towards sibling. Imagine your siblings facing you. Look into their eyes and say, "Thank you for being my sister or brother and being first or second or wherever they are in the hierarchy of being born in your family of origin. I honor your place. Thank you also for giving me a space in this family." Allow these words to sit with you for a while and let them impact on you. You see, even siblings who were not born, we often do this exercise with siblings who were either miscarried or aborted. These are also parts of our systemic field and the soul that is always there. Those parts who were rejected or never seen their light of life and never been met by us. But we also have that part affecting our family system. And as we embrace them, as we connect and make that beautiful relationship flow, we can also restore pieces in our field in relation to our peers, our colleagues, our friends, and others around us. It's a beautiful piece of work we can do to restore the flow of love. What if exercise in positive imagination, compassion, and mindful meditation will enhance the creation of new neural pathways to help you enrich yourself and your relationships? What if your brain were designed to connect the past to the future? Recent studies have revealed that you use the same part of your brain to remember the past as you do when you think or when thinking about the future. The brain's memory circuits are not merely for reflecting on the past, but they are also vital mechanisms for imagination, for imagining, anticipating, and preparing for what comes next. Your brain is a proactive system that integrates past experiences to help you navigate the future. Very important thing, right? And how do we use that imagination? Here are some tips to get the most out of your proactive brain and have a better intimate relationship. Live an interesting life yourself. You are responsible for your own destiny, and it will give your brain a rich bank of experiences. Borrow from the experiences of others by reading and sharing. It's a wonderful thing, right? When we watch movies, when we read books, we as though live vicariously the lives of these characters and using the power of imagination as though we were living those lives ourselves. And you will be surprised how many neural connections and neural circuitry affects these kind of powerful transformations. So it matters what kind of things we watch, what kind of things we read. Think about what you want from the future. Be clear what you wish out of life. Give your brain downtime so that its memory system can integrate your prior experiences in ways that can help you envision future possibilities. For this, power naps are great. 20 minutes in the afternoon allow your neurons to assimilate information and bring forth new possibilities. Actually, there's a study done on power naps. The more people do power naps, the longer they live. So it's a great tool. Why don't we just embrace? When I worked in a corporation, one of the great corporations out there, we had power nap pods. In the afternoon for 20 minutes, there was a little queue even. I love those, going there and having that little snoozing time. And that it feels so much rejuvenated, so much more alive in the afternoon. Great for the relationship building in the evening when we have a lot of energy dips and sort of low energies. And in the evening, when we come back from work, when we reconnect with our family, we kind of bring the worst of us in the evening, in many cases. But what we could do is nap a little bit, and then we can start again. It's almost like having that rejuvenated power, and have the best out of us for our relationship with our family. Here's an exercise for you. Recall your beginnings. Okay. For the next 7 nights, recall 7 first experiences. The first time you kissed, the first movie you remember, your first dance, etc. Allow yourself to soak into the memory. Case study for you. Martha and Dan. Martha and Dan have an invisible wall between them as they enter the office. Both introverts, they confirm they cannot express their emotions to each other due to the fear of ruining their partnership. I start with, what if your brain exercise, asking them to write down 7 to 10 positive instances which were a first for them in relationship to each other. They start jotting down their answers after a bit of thinking. Martha finishes first and gives Dan this new fresh look, almost flirting with him with the edges of her lips. Dan completes his part, lifting his head, first to look at me and then half smiling to Martha. The contact between them has been rekindled. I ask each of them to read aloud what they have written, and I see how this physiology changes. Completely. Different breathing, different postures. Martha shifts a bit closer to Dan, and I feel we could just finish the session right here to allow them to touch. Exercise, mental representations. Mental or internal representations are the patterns we use to represent the world to ourselves in our own minds. They consist of internal pictures, sounds, dialogues, and feelings. By beginning to take control of your internal representations, you can start to manage your state in exactly the way you want in order to achieve your desired outcome. A simple example is when you remember a happy time. As you remember that time now, pictures, sounds, and feelings will return to you. Your mind makes no distinction between the original happy event and your memory of it. So if you relive that memory fully and completely, you naturally re-enter the happy state you once experienced. I suggest you take a photo of yourself before and after this exercise. A quick selfie would do, just to compare, because it's true. When you do this exercise and you start remembering great things about your relationship, the way you started it, the way you were together, the juiciness, the flirtiness, the conquering sort of quest of, chasing each other and falling in love, all those endorphins and all those dopamine, all those wonderful and lovely hormones will start flooding your system, and soon after you will notice how beautiful, how soft, how gentle, how loving your even facial expressions will be. Page 198. Continue. Let's continue. Now remember the happiest time of your life. Wow. Close your eyes and soak into it. Just relive that time again and again, remembering it in all its details. What you saw, what you felt, how you felt, what you heard, what you touched, and how it was for you. Allow 5 minutes for this experience. You can put on some nice music in the background or just relax and remember. When you're done, take the second picture of yourself and compare it with the first one. Do you notice any difference? I encourage you to do it, and you will be surprised how different these pictures are. Here's a case study for you. A case of Melanie. Melanie grieves after the death of her partner, Stephen, who died from cancer 1 month after his diagnosis. Staying on her own and not wanting to visit friends or family, she buries herself in work and secretly starts drinking, as well as taking drugs. After a while, she goes to see a psychotherapist, realizing she needs help. During the meeting, she's asked to talk about the happiest time she had before meeting Stephen. Happy times that she had with Stephen. What she has learned from the death of Stephen and how she wants to live her life from that moment onwards. As a homework, she needs to write a list of learnings from life with and without Stephen that she will integrate to her future, be it on her own or with a new partner. She comes to the following session with her list. She reports wishing to be in a relationship and having signed up to dating websites and Tinder. A month later, Melanie has a boyfriend. It's a little exercise called pretend play. In our lives, we always play. We start learning to play when we're babies, and we keep the skill until we die. Unfortunately, at some point, our life gets so serious that we drop the playfulness. We shouldn't. Play is a powerful antioxidant, conducive to healthy intimacy. We can pretend or imagine going on a first date and talking to seduce or impress, or both. At the beginning, it may feel strange, but that is okay. It works wonders all the same. It is the whole point of this exercise. It should feel strange to get out of your habitual role of a wife or husband, mother, father, partner, or colleague. Pretend to be in a brand new relationship and stop letting things get so routine-like. The only reason your relationship has become dull is because you've let it happen. Before you start, make sure you do the following. Step 1, let your partner know you want to do this. Meaning, don't just start acting like you have just met them. So they may feel puzzled by why you have suddenly started behaving differently. It's not like the previous exercise where things could go undercover. For this, it's important to let them know what you want to do and ask whether they agree to be part of it. Step 2, once the consent has been granted, you can choose the time frame. Plan your next date. I encourage all couples to have a date at least once a week. And I live by that example. We always have a date on a Friday night now. So we go to different restaurants or cafes and have different experiences, because there's always this new opportunity and a shift of energy from home, being parents or being partners, being whatever, going into this romantic energy flow, and it shifts the energy and rekindles a little passion stream. Step 3. Once you're going through this role play, really play. I mean, you need to start looking at your partner with new eyes, quote unquote. Try to remember how it was when you first met. What were those beautiful moments you so loved? And what about him or her? Here's a case study for you. Gabby. Gabby hates being bored. Once she's in a relationship for more than 3 months, she feels she knows the guy and she becomes bored of him. They split. This has been her pattern since puberty. Instead of investigating the reasons why boredom is such an issue, I advise her to try the play game every time it manifests with a boyfriend. If he responds to this nicely, they may have a chance to stay together longer, and she could break her negative pattern of 3 months relationships. So she does. Once there is a new fling and the intimacy and excitement starts to fade away, Gabby is prepared. She suggests the pretend play. The first guy didn't like it, as he felt it was too pretentious. So they split again. Then she does something different. She advertises this as a requirement on a dating website. It's not long before she meets someone who is up for it. Although it is a bit quirky, they both enjoy it. They feel like movie stars in real life. As long as they enjoy the game, and why not? After living together with her boyfriend for 6 months, Gabby sends me a thank you note for that little hint which helped her find the right player for her. Okay, and here's an exercise. I love this one. It's called Parts Party. This exercise is one of my favorites. It comes from the beloved Virginia Satir, the mother of family therapy. Imagine you're having a party and you can invite any famous people. They can be celebrities or writers, and they can be alive or already dead. It's your imaginative party, so don't worry. They can be movie stars or religious leaders, scientists, artists, anything. Choose 3 to 5 people you admire and 3 to 5 people you feel negative about. Write their names down plus one adjective for each of them. For example, if I choose Gandhi, I would pick spiritual as an adjective. If I choose Hitler, I would pick destructive. You get the gist? Now imagine those people get together and start having a party. So take some time, pause this recording, write down those adjectives and 5 positive and 5 sort of negative characters. And what I like to do is put them on little pieces of paper, cut them down, these pieces of paper and put them around, sort of physically imagine uh, who comes to the party first. And then who speaks to whom? Who speaks to whom first and about what? What do they talk about? What are the topics? This is a powerful way to explore how we project parts of ourselves. Now, do the same with your partner and have a joint party. You can ask them also to bring those characters together and have a party and enjoy creating these dialogues. You will be amazed to see which people your partner chooses to invite. All the guests represent parts of ourselves we like and we don't like. Here's something to think about, right? And this exercise, I love, 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 love. It's called Lakota Lakota tribe animals. We often think we are similar to others, and in many ways we are. However, you will have more success if you imagine that we are all different and treat your partner accordingly, the way he or she wants. Imagine us as various animals. The Lakota tribe believe that each of us has preferences or style characteristics. Understanding these helps us relating to others. If we value all skills and styles, we can experience diversity as a strength rather than an impediment. There are 4 Lakota tribe animals, and try to find out who your is and who your partner is. And then you can see how this can actually help you in your relationships. Bears, those of us who are analytic, methodical, and introspective, we are also careful and pragmatic, basing our decisions on data and logic. Buffaloes, those of us who like to take control of a task or work quickly towards the goal. We're full of courage and endurance. We take risks and are good at motivating others. Eagles, those of us who are creative and innovative, visionaries, we're expansive thinkers, easily able to see the big picture. Or deer, those of us who are collaborative and supportive, we're trusting, careful of others' feelings, and concerned with creating a positive work environment. These are also very good at actually work, let's say, dynamic, to understand who is who likes to play in what kind of segment. And of course, these animals bring the best qualities, and also they have some of the challenging bits. You can imagine, for example, when there is a bear and an eagle, what kind of things that would combine and complement, and what kind of things and characteristics would make it tough or challenging to be together. For example, eagles, as they are very innovative and creative, they might struggle with bears being too introspective, too methodical, and too analytic. How do eagles and bears find ways to collaborate together? What kind of language can they change and speak and find that compromise and find those pieces of interaction where they can connect and instead of have conflict? Deer and buffalo. Buffalo is all about moving forward. It's all about taking risks, making things happen. Whereas deer is all about creating that harmonious relationship and atmosphere, and they struggle to have conflict, whereas buffaloes are striving on conflict. So how do these two work together? This can be also two different people in the partnership, in the relationship, intimate relationship. How do they collaborate? How do they find ways to stay together? So let's look into this case study of Nico and Clara. Nico and Clara work in the same company at the same time as being in an intimate relationship. Although all is well at home, at work they start bickering about trivial things. As time progresses, it becomes increasingly obvious that there is some form of miscommunication. Nico persists in leading the project that Clara is part of. The clash becomes so deep that it affects their personal relationship. Neither wants to change the project, but they wish to reconcile their different approaches so to preserve their partnership. Clara goes on a training where she learns about the Lakota tribe animals' characteristics that can be applied to people at work. She brings this notion home and shares it with Nikos. Together, they try to identify which animal best represents them. Clara agrees she's closer to a deer in that she cares about people's feelings and their specific circumstances in reference to the project. Nico identifies with the buffalo who wants to lead and get to the end point no matter what. The clash normally happens when the goal of a buffalo breaches the beliefs of a deer as to how people should be treated. After discussing the pros and cons of working together, they decide that instead of arguing, Clara could advise Nico about the potential issues he may face. Nico could let Clara know about his goals and bring her on board to help him communicate better with other deer. Playfully identifying themselves as animals, they have managed to harmonize their relationship. They didn't need much additional effort, just a bit of imagination. Here you go. And just a couple more exercises for you. This is a very, very practical chapter with lots of exercise. I hope you're taking notes. If you don't have a book, or you can just get a book on Amazon to follow me. I'm on page 204. Exercise called Options on Hands. This is one of my favorite exercises from neurolinguistic programming. It helps enabling you to respond congruently to a stressful situation by sorting out unresolved inner tensions. It can be used when you are struggling to tackle an issue because something seems to stand in the way. Step 1. Imagine the ideal outcome you wish for. Include everything that would fruitfully unfold in 5, 10, 15 years' time as a consequence. Bring in vivid sensations. Try to see, hear, and smell those scenes from the future once the situation has transformed for the better. What are the benefits of these changes for you and other people in the long run? Write them down. You need to make everything crystal clear so that your mind can process and consciously understand the benefits of transforming the issue or shedding the bad habit. Step 2. Now imagine all the consequences of not changing the situation. Include all the possible negative effects. See them ripple into the future. Contemplate how much suffering this will bring to you and those around you. Step 3. On one hand, imagine yourself not having changed at all. 15 years have passed and you face the consequences of not having acted to resolve the issue. You don't like this picture. Make it bleak, make it small, far to the distance, let it turn into a small dot on the horizon. Step 4. Look at your palms now. On the other hand, imagine your ideal situation, the changes that have happened and the good feelings that result from them. 10 years have passed. You see the positive effects on your palm. Make this image of yourself bigger and brighter and move it closer. Bring in all the colors, the sounds and smells pertaining to that situation. Check how you feel towards tackling this issue. What are your next steps? Exercise 3 parts of me. Often women complain about unmet demands by their partners, husbands or boyfriends. I find the majority of complaints have to do with the unresolved need of the inner girl to be loved and protected. I learned from one of my mentors this beautiful analogy used by Carl Jung in marital discussions. Imagine you have 3 parts, a woman, a woman mother, and a woman girl. When you need to be loved and protected, your woman girl gets into play. She's looking for the man father part of your partner to be looked after, accepted as she is, and loved no matter what. Now, the trickier bit is that a man also has 3 parts, man, man, father, and man, boy. When a man-boy part feels loved no matter what by a woman mother part, their man-father part naturally provides love and support to the woman-girl part. Isn't that beautiful? Okay. A case study, Julia and Marcus. Just a couple of more exercises and we're done with the imagine part. Julia and Marcus are having a tough time. Each one feels needy and demands for attention. They argue. Julia cries a lot and Marcus goes from feeling closed up to highly emotional. They're seeking a solution to this roller coaster. Julia picks up on this concept of the woman-girl straight away. She confirms that Marcus does not give her support and that he threatens to leave when, in his eyes, she behaves like a child. Following my invitation for Marcus to join in an explorative session, they next come to see me together. Let's look into Julia's 3 parts and figure out what each of them needs and what each of them gives out. Then we will do the same for Marcus. Starting with Julia girl, what does she need from Marcus' father part and what does she give to him? I ask. Julia, She needs safety and admiration, and she gives lightness and fun. Me. Great. What about Julia, woman? Julia. She needs love and affection, and she gives love and affection in return. Me. Yes. And Julia, mother? Julia. She needs to be close to him and gives unconditional love. Me. Now, what about Marcus, you think, Julia? What does Marcus boy needs and gives to you? Julia. He needs love and gives new perspective. Wonderful. And Marcus man? He needs sex, she smiles, and gives love. And finally, Marcus father. He needs respect and gives support. Beautiful. Who shall go first to give what and to receive what? Julia replies, both of us. But we are both waiting for the other to make the first step forward. Marcus, what can you do to give Julia girl that safety she was talking about? Marcus replies, just being there for her when it's tough. Me, yes, she longs for that. When she feels threatened with you leaving her, she cannot give you lots of Julia mother or Julia woman. Julia girl is in pain and in fear of being abandoned. Marcus, I got it. He reaches out on the sofa to hold her. Julia, my whole self gets so frightened when I hear that he may leave me. I just start crying. Me, so what can you do to help Marcus release that you have got into that girly place? Julia, I can say, hug me and be with me rather than crying. I know that when I cry, I push him up further away. Me, this is a very helpful realization. Let me know when you do this next time and how it helps you stay together without threatening each other. 5 weeks later, I send Julia a note to check how they're doing. I discover they haven't had any of those big quarrels. Instead of crying, Julia calls for him to hug her and make love to her, and it works. Isn't this beautiful? Okay, final exercise called Two Cities. Another beautiful exercise to help couples responding to each other without judgment and demands consists in picturing yourself as two different cities. What city would you be? And what about your partner? Now that you have chosen your two cities, think of them as being close to each other and connected by a bridge. Via the bridge, you're allowed to travel to the other city. You can pay a visit, but you cannot request that anything be changed there or become the way you want it to be, as it is not your city. You can give orders and make changes only on your own territory. All you can do is perhaps inspiring your partner to look across the bridge and think, that seems nice. I'd like to bring this change in my city as well. This imaginative exercise brings us to understand that we can only produce changes within our own system, but that this might bring others to change as well. Another interesting question is, how do you build bridges? Because your bridge might be very beautiful and sturdy, or it could be weak and badly maintained. No one would want to cross a perilous bridge to your city. How accessible are you? How attractive does your bridge look and feel? And a final case study, Stephanie and Val. Stephanie wants to be closer to her partner Val, but wanting that closeness has the effect of pushing her away. She opens up fully, shares everything, and expects the same from Val. Their partnership has become a push and pull game. Going through the two cities exercise, we realize that Stephanie's city is like New York, buzzing with action, full of life, and very open, sociable, emotional, and intellectual. On the other hand, Val's city is similar to Rome, pleasant and grandiose. It will never become as buzzing as New York. However, a bridge of artists and business projects could be created between the two cities. This metaphor allows Steph's unconscious mind to process their differences and, at the same time, to find a solution to her stress. Having more interest in artistic and business projects would incite her and Val to work together. Hence, they would get closer. Imagining cities and bridges brought real solutions to many souls and changed their lives for the better, without having to work hard at transforming through sheer willpower. Here we go. And that's the chapter on imagine. So I hope you can pause this video at different exercises and do them, because the power of this is actually in the making, in the doing the work. As you listen, you can jot down, you can play, you can do this together with your partner, and let's see how your relationship enriches. I wish you well. I wish you a wonderful day. Stay connected and see you soon, hopefully.